Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy, and MVP versus who? Another year, another UFC London. We're soon in March, in a month. Good. Not the best card. Not the best card. Look at this here. You see here outside. UFC. Hashtag UFC London is looking stacked. How is this stacked? I'm not even hating on the card. I wasn't hating when I saw the card, and I'm not hating it now. If you're a hardcore fan, then you see Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. Good, sick. Number one contender for Volkanovski. Amazing. You see MVP on the card. Great. Weird opponent. We're gonna get to that. You have Roman Dolidze ranked. Christian Leroy Duncan. Good. We have seen much worse from the UFC the last few years. So this is not... I'm not complaining about this at all. Oh, I mean, I will, but we're gonna get to that. So if we start with the main event, Evloev Murphy. I mean, most people, we kind of knew-ish, 99% we knew this would happen. This is just what the hyped UK crowd want. Two decision machines with not much personality. One guy can't speak English. The other guy, I don't think Murphy have much support in the UK. He got the spinning elbow, great one, against someone that is not ranked in the featherweight division. Guys, for me, sorry, but this is a UK event in 2026. I know it's fight night, but no Aspinall, no Paddy, no Leon, no Arnold Allen. Of course, Till has left. It feels pretty not good without it. I think the headliner of you, and it's not even hard for that. You have MVP here. And we're gonna get to MVP and his opponent. Of course, Sam Patterson shouldn't be in the main event, but MVP could so easily main event this over Lerone Murphy. If we just look back a few years, I have good memories, so I don't need to read this stuff. 2018, you had Darren Till, Wonder Boy. Darren Till carrying the big hype before his title fight with Woodley. 2019, again, headliner Darren Till, big hype. The UK needs a big hype guy in the main event. And if you then go to 2021 to the Apex, when the UFC did a UK themed fight night, you had Till in the main event again. You had Aspinall as a rising contender on the undercard. And Paddy Pimblett made his debut a few months later. Back, first UK event in I think 3 years in the UK, fight night. You had Paddy on the card. You had in the co-main event, you had Arnold Allen versus Dan Hooker. And then Aspinall Volkov in the main event. Big hype with Aspinall as this new big heavyweight contender. The UK was so behind him, and that show one of the best fight nights we have had in years. I remember watching it live. Fantastic. Then of course a few months later in the summer you had Aspinall in the main event again against Blades and Paddy on the card. 2023 you had a pay-per-view with the Leon and Usman in the main event. The next fight night, I'm soon done here. Aspinall and Tybura in Aspinall's big return, of course. 2024, of course, had a big UK card with UFC 304, right? With like a double headliner with the title fights. Aspinall versus Blades 2 for the interim belt. And Belal Leon. And of course, the last one in 2025 didn't go that well for the UK guy. Leon, of course, main evented. It was supposed to be against JDM, right? But he got put with Belal for the title fight, so we got Brady, who dominated Leon. But you see, every time you had the big hype of Till 3 times, you have Leon headlining or Aspinall. Now, Lerone Murphy is kind of the featherweight Leon in many ways. Decision guy, black, striker, tries a bit on the mic sometimes, but no one cares. Like a weird voice accent. Actually, if there's any UK people watching, please comment down below and tell me, are the UK fans really behind Lerone Murphy? Because I don't think so. I don't see the hype. I get that the UFC didn't have many options. Paddy just fought. Aspinall is his eye problems, and he's champion, so he wouldn't be on a fight night. Anyway, Leon just got KO'd flatline. Allen just fought. Of course, they could plan things better, and instead of having wait, Ian Gary. I know he's not from England, UK, but Irish. He wanted to fight, Leon or on this card, or MVP wanted to fight Leon on this card. Why wouldn't they just save Leon for the? Yeah, I mean, we know the UFC doesn't prioritize good with cards and who's from where, and yeah. I just feel like on the UK cards, we always have someone in the headliner that's really over and popular with the UK fans. And I mean, most of the time they are popular, have hype in the US and other places also, like Till was getting a lot of hype back in the day. And of course, everyone saw that Aspinall moved, and like we had never seen a heavyweight that moved and was all rounded like Aspinall was. But this time, I mean, we hardcore fans, we know Lerone Murphy, number 4. This fight makes sense as the number 1 contender. Volk wants to be active, and that's the only thing. I don't know how active he wants to be. He said in the post-fight interview of 325 that the camp hadn't been the easiest. It seems like he had some injury, something. The problem is fighters are so inactive nowadays. And the thing that scares me a bit is I want to see Volk active, and I know Volk wants to be active. The only reason Volk didn't fight twice last year was he wanted to return. The thing is, Volk was ready. I don't know if you guys remember. Volk was ready. He said it openly in interviews. He was ready by August, September last year. Of course, if you guys remember, they were planning on having Jair versus Volk too. The Mexican stuff again. They need a Mexican champ for the PIs and all that stuff. The Mexican sucks. But of course, the big Mexico celebration in September that they have every year, who cares? That pay-per-view for some reason didn't happen. Some problem down in Mexico, if you guys remember some news in September. So that pay-per-view was scratched. So we had no pay-per-view in September, and that card, of course, became the fight night between Lopez and Silva. So Volk, that was ready to fight 4 or 5 months after his title win, didn't get to fight. Then he said he wanted to fight in December. He thought it would be probably Lerone Murphy because of his win over Pico. But then, of course, the UFC said in 2 months, or like a month-ish, we are returning to Sydney. I think Volk's hometown, or close to his hometown. And Volk didn't want to miss that opportunity. He had never defended a belt, he said in Sydney, or in Australia. So understandably, Volk thought that it would be worth it to wait a month and a half to fight, like he just did. So that totally makes sense. But so Volk wants to be active. At least it's decent timing from the UFC that the title fight and the number 1 contenders fight is about a month and a half away from each other. So that's good that they have some kind of space that, okay, both guys are probably ready in 5 months, or as we know, people are so inactive these days, so probably 7, 8, 9 months, a year, who knows. Evloev, I just don't, we have not much time left at all with Volk, probably. I mean, like, he seems to defy aging. I mean, he's still good as fuck, so, and apparently this was Volk compromised, injured, we don't know exactly. But I mean, Volk is amazing. I want to see him defend a few times and then go up to lightweight, have a few fights there and retire. But I want to see Volk active. He wants to be active. If Movsar wins, that's horrible, because he never fights. I don't see him doing a quick turnaround. I can see Murphy. If Volk wants to fight in 3-4 months, I can definitely see Murphy doing that. 100%. Even if he's, I don't know how, if he is compromised, how. But you know what I'm saying. Murphy I can see. But Evloev, no, that will be dragged out. So that's the thing, because the UFC knows that Volk wants to be active. Dude, maybe they do. The UFC is doing. Okay, so Lopez lost, and now they're okay. We still have Jair. He beat Pitbull, so we're gonna give him a title fight. So to have that legit, so it makes sense. They book Evloev Murphy now. They aren't ready to fight in 2 months after this, when Volk wanna fight. But okay, Jair is he's the highest ranked guy available. If that happens, I will maybe delete his channel. Maybe I shouldn't say. I mean, they could have done, if Volk is ready in just a few months. They could have waited and done Evloev and Volk in a few months, like in the early summer, I guess, early midsummer, and done like a number 1 contenders fight between Murphy and Sterling. People seem to hate the idea of Sterling being in the picture. I just like, people in my comments hate the idea of Sterling even being in the conversation. Tell me down below what you think. Maybe I'm alone on this. But Aljo is Sterling. He's a former champion. He beat Cade. He came up to featherweight. After defending 3 times, lost to Mali, came up to featherweight. Dominated Cader. Had a razor-close fight with Evloev, who's the number 1 contender, who everyone says is like the best. Then he dominated Ortega, who was, I don't know if he was top 5, but he was like, at the lowest, he was 6 or 7. So he was pretty high ranked, and Sterling dominated him, and he's now number 5. Former champion, just beat Ortega, dominated him, is in the top 5. And dude, I would love, market that, do Sterling, Volk, market that as featherweight GOAT versus bantamweight GOAT. Like, everyone seems to agree now that Volk is the featherweight GOAT. I don't think Sterling is the bantamweight GOAT, but people debate all the time. Is it Cruz? Is it Merab? Is Jan now in the conversation? Is it TJ? Aljo, of course, has the most title. No, before Merab, most title defenses in a row. But you know what I mean. Like Gene Silva, Gene, you could put. You guys know what I mean. I'm just. Do this fight. If Volk want to fight in 3 months and they aren't ready, put Sterling in there. Or Gene Silva, I don't know. Just Volk is so old. Have him fighting if he wants to, and fresh contenders. Or go up to lightweight. Also quick, MVP Michael Venom Page in the feature fight versus Sam Patterson. Like someone commented this. MVP just beat Jared Cannonier, who is a top 10 ranked middleweight. Now he's fighting an unranked welterweight. What is going on? Thank you. The problem is MVP is in a terrible situation, and he described it in an interview very well. And I've heard other people talk about it also, and I think he's spot on. So MVP is beating everyone except Gary, of course. But the UFC doesn't really know what to do with him. And this is the reason why he's fighting an unranked bum. So MVP, the top guys doesn't want to fight him. Because, like, from their perspective, of course, like, if they could say, okay, I don't want this guy, but one of these guys. MVP is a terrible matchup for any striker. He probably beats every striker, or most, like, in striking. And for most guys that can grapple, it's not as easy as just grapple him. I'm not saying, what's his face? Jared Cannonier is some amazing grappler. But even if you say one of the better grapplers, of course not Chimaev, he's the champion, so we're talking about the contenders. Who can shoot on MVP? I mean, if it's Imavov, of course, Hernandez, the Riddler, all these guys. You have to come close to him, you have to get hold of him. I don't think it's easy to just get MVP down and hold him down. I know Cannonier did it good in like the 3rd round. But it's just a nightmare matchup. So Adesanya, who's returning now against Pyfer, that totally makes sense compared to him fighting MVP. If he looks at he probably looks at Pyfer and says, I see so many holes in his striking, and I have good takedown defense. But when you look at MVP, yeah, maybe you look at him and say, okay, I can see the holes. MVP just does the karate stance, in and out. I can figure that out. But when you're in, like you see every time, Gary had to grapple. People still argue if like that MVP won that fight or could have won that fight. Of course, schooled Kevin Holland, schooled Shara, embarrassed Cannonier. So yeah, he's just a nightmare style for anyone in the top of. Not even middleweight. MVP has expressed he's interested in fighting both at welterweight and middleweight. Welterweight seems to be the division he wants to focus on, which makes sense. You see how Cannonier, the size difference, he could just hold down MVP in the 3rd round for a bit. So he probably wants to focus on welterweight, this is at welterweight, Sam Patterson, okay. But it's the same with the top guys at welterweight. Why would people like Shavkat, JDM, Brady, like why would they want to fight someone? Like, it's just a terrible time. Even if you get hold of him like Brady and hold him down or whatever, and it's harder at welterweight, I would imagine, because they are smaller there, not the big strong middleweights. MVP is pretty big range and stuff for many welterweights. So the point that MVP said, that I completely agree with, the top guys are like, I don't want to fight him, he's a terrible matchup, I'd rather fight anyone else. yeah, just a nightmare to fight. And the UFC also doesn't want to give... Okay, so he can't fight the top guys because they don't want to fight him. They don't want to risk their spot against MVP. And the UFC don't want to give him to the guys below him, you know, the contenders. They don't care about Sam Patterson. Who is Sam Patterson? But he already ruined, you know, Kevin Holland is popular guy, destroyed him. Ruined Sarah, the middleweight prospect there. So if they just continue to give MVP to the up-and-coming younger guys at welterweight or middleweight, most guys at MVP will just piece up on the feet. Like, and move away from the takedowns. Like, the top guys don't want to fight him, and the UFC don't want to, you know, lose most of their young up-and-coming guys at welterweight and middleweight to MVP. So he is stuck in a terrible situation, and that's why he has been inactive. He fought in August, so not that inactive. He will be back in March, but I mean, he wants to fight regularly. MVP says it. He want to be active, but like, there's no one that makes sense for him to fight, that's willing to fight him. And dude, I want to hear an interview from MVP. Let's see if something is released soon, but MVP, like, what? Is he happy about this? I doubt it. I'm gonna say to you guys in the top of the welterweight and middleweight divisions, you guys are pussies, cowards. How old is MVP? He's 38. He's 39 in April. Guys, come on. You have these young guys at early 30s. Some people even late 20s, I would imagine. And you can't fight a 38-year-old. Come on. Pussies, cowards, guys, come on. Why ain't the UFC and Dana White and this guy just pushing up? Dude, like, okay, dude, this is the guy. This is not an offer. This is the guy you're fighting next. You're declining this guy. You're declining this guy. You're fighting MVP next. 2 months. Good luck, buddy. Not an offer. Demand. Or you can fight number 40. Or we just take you out of the rankings. I mean, I know why Dana and the UFC doesn't do it, because they don't care anymore. They are just on autopilot. You see with this card, what are they doing? Why is Luke Riley versus Michael Astwell in the co-main event? No one cares. Why is MVP fighting Sam Patterson? No big hype UK guy in the main event. I don't hate... The main event isn't a big problem, but you guys know what I mean. It's frustrating. But yeah, guys, good main event. I'm worried for Volk. I want him to be active. Are they just gonna throw in Jin Silva there, or do Mexico a rematch again with Jair? Who knows? But the main event is good fight. I want to see what happens. Decision way. MVP Patterson, I hate it. Another win for Page, I guess. Yay, not Page Van Sant. Fantastic, guys. Videos are here to click on. See if you find something nice. Good stuff. Please comment down below what you think. What you thought about the video. This was more of a rant. Just talk about some news that happened. I have more edits and stuff. Yeah, good stuff on the channel. Subscribe if you enjoyed it. Click on another video if you want. Like, share. Dislike if you don't like it. I don't know. I'm tired, I'm drunk. No, I'm not. Don't. Yeah, peace.